Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So I don't know about you, but I had a fairly underwhelming reading year for 2023 as a whole. I feel like that is not an unusual experience for last year. I feel like I've heard a lot of people say they didn't love how their reading life went last year. But I feel like there were books that came out last year that I circled, but for some reason could never commit to sitting down and picking them up. And I am convinced that if I had prioritized these books last year, then my reading year would have been not changed, but incrementally better, let's say. So for this video, I am going to try to right my wrongs and read those 2023 releases that I should have read last year. So the books that are on my TBR for this video, I don't know if I'll actually get to all of them. My goal is 3 out of the 4, but we'll see. I also think I'm forgetting a book. I can't think of what book I would be forgetting in this moment. So if I figure it out, I'll just add it into the video. So first up is Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson. This is sapphic horror that I've heard fantastic things about from Riley Marie, and I read Delilah S. Dawson before and really liked her writing, but I've never read a horror by her, so that could be fun. I also have The Wicked Bargain by Gabe Cole Novoa. This is a YA fantasy trans pirate story. Yep. That's really all I need to know. I know nothing else about it. I've just heard really great things about Gabe Cole Novoa's writing, and this audiobook is done by Vico Ortiz from Our Flag Means Death. And every time I hear somebody talk about it, it just sounds like a book that I could really love. Also have The Spirit Bears Its Teeth by Andrew Joseph White. Sorry, I've taught this morning and my words are all scrambled up. Like, I've just talked too much today. And this is historical horror. It's YA. I also have this author's debut, Hell Followed With Us, which came out in paperback last year, so it could go either way. We'll see, but for right now, this is the one that's on the TBR. And then the last book is The Death I Gave Him by M.X. Liu. This is a sci-fi queer Hamlet retelling. All queer books, 2 horror, 1, this might have horror elements, but I'm not sure yet. And I'm so excited for all 4 books. I mean, like I said, I circled these books hard last year. I've checked out The Death I Gave Him and Bloom multiple times for the library and never actually got around to picking them up. I think I got into that space where I desperately wanted to read these books because I'm really sure that I will love them, but there was that part of me that was really worried I wasn't gonna love them and didn't want to experience that heartbreak of not loving them. I think this will be a good time. I think this will be a fun reading vlog. I hope you stick around and see how it goes. And if you've read any of these, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts about them in the comments. And I'll update when I'm partway through one of them. All right, friends, I'm here with an update. So a couple things. It's finally gorgeous here weather-wise, and so my window is open to let in all the fresh air and all the sunshine, which means the traffic noise might be a little bit louder, so my apologies, but this weather is not sticking around after this week and I cannot have my window closed. So sorry. Second thing is I am attempting to transition to letting my natural waves be my go-to hairstyle and not straightening or curling my hair as often as I do. And so I don't know, I'm still figuring it out. I'm still learning. But this is I'm trying to air dry my hair and encourage the natural waviness that I've got. So I don't know. I can't tell if it looks cute or if I look a little bit like a wet dog, but it's fine. I started The Death I Gave Him, and I am 121 pages into it, so it feels like it's time for an update. This is a sci-fi queer Hamlet retelling, and I'd heard really great things about this from like the little queer bookstagram community that I lurk in, and the only negative review I've seen or heard for it is, I know Books with Lala read it and didn't like it very much, but I mean and Kayla and I don't really align on books, so her giving a book a bad review, it doesn't scare me off the book. Most of the time it encourages me to pick it up because I think I'll probably like it if she didn't like it. Anyways, so far I am really liking this. This is set in, I think it's like 2045, and we're at a lab in Sweden. And the lab is called Elsinore. So like if you've read Hamlet, there are a ton of little Easter eggs in this, or if you've seen Hamlet, there's a ton of little Easter eggs in here. We're at this lab, and the lab is run by Charles Litchfield. Oh my god, so off. It's not even close. Charles Litchfield, and so he runs this lab, and his son Hayden works there as well, and they're working on this Sisyphus formula, which is supposed to, I think, revive the dead, you know, like Sisyphus from Greek mythology, or regenerate the dead, I guess would be better if we're going off of the Greek mythology. But anyways, so this book opens with Charles Litchfield being found dead, and then the lab is quickly locked down, and the people that work there are left trying to figure out who murdered him. So it's Hayden, Charles's son, one of the partners at the lab, is it Paul? And then Paul's daughter Felicia, who is also Hayden's ex, and then a lab intern named Rasmussen, and then of course there is the AI that in the building named Horatio. So it's a little bit of a locked room. No, I mean it literally is a locked room mystery because they're locked in the lab, and there's been some body horror so far. It's a really the structure is really interesting because it's partly from Hayden's point of view, and then also transcript of text messages, of phone conversations. There's excerpts from the tell-all that Felicia published after this whole ordeal is over. And so I really like that mixed format. And it's been that reading experience, which I kind of love, where I can't put it down once I pick it up. I was at page 80 last night, and when I got into bed, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to read it and until I get to page 100, and then I'll go to bed. And then I like blacked out and I was on page 120. That's great. I like it a lot. I really like the writing. I'm really vibing with it so far. I don't know that I necessarily care about the murder or about the mystery, but I'm really intrigued by like what's going on with Horatio, and Felicia and Hayden's relationship is really fun dynamic to watch them like ping pong off of each other. So yeah, I'm having a good time. Fingers crossed it's a 5-star, I guess, because I guess that's the point of this video. I might not come back unless I have like big feelings before I finish it, but otherwise I'll update you when I'm done. Hello, I have a real quick update. I haven't finished The Death I Gave Him, but I have an update for you anyways. But yes, I curled my hair. You know, there's a whole stage where your hair looks like crap when you try to transition away from doing stuff to it, and I don't have the patience for that right now. I also don't have the self-esteem for that right now. So yeah, I curled my hair. Oh well. Okay, first of all, I don't think I said this in my first little thing, but this has footnotes, and I love them. Footnotes make me so happy. I also hate this book on audio. I like the narrator. It's Catherine Ho. I've listened to her I think that's her name. I've listened to her read other books and I've really enjoyed her. But because this has transcripts, it's not a good time because I don't know, just the way transcripts are read when it's only one narrator, where they have to do like the person's name and then their line and then the next person's name and then the line. And I just hate it on audio. So I'm just reading with my eyeballs, but it's a great time. Since it is a Hamlet retelling, Hayden is our Hamlet. And so he is slowly descending into madness, and it's a great time. I mean, not for Hayden. Not a good time for Hayden, but it's a good time for me. I'm having a good time. Will this be the 5-star that I anticipated? Maybe. I'm not sure. It kind of depends on how it goes, how this murder mystery, well, it's not a mystery because you know who did it, because it's Hamlet retelling, but yeah, it just kind of depends on how this wraps up. It is definitely a high 4 right now, and the ending could bump it up to a 5 or bump it down to like a 4.25. That's your update. I can't read right now. It's Wednesday, which is laundry day in my house. And I've been putting it off, and it's now almost 3 o'clock. So I've really got to get on it so that stuff can be done before I go to bed tonight. So that's the plan. Like the worst angle that could just be solved if I went and got my freaking tripod, but I cannot be bothered. So here we are. All right, I finished The Death I Gave Him, and so conflicted. I don't know what rating to give it. Okay, so we have an unnamed narrator who is telling the story of what happened in the Elsinore labs, and they are doing it through a mix of, like I said, there's mixed media, so there's text message, there's transcripts, there's excerpts from Felicia Shaw's essay, memoir thing that she wrote after the fact. There's a first-hand account from Hayden, and it's all spliced together with the addition of the footnotes that I mentioned, which are great. I love the footnotes. I love the writing in this so much. Like, I loved how MXLU told the story. Their writing is fantastic. I will 100% read their next book. Here's what I got hung up on. Now, just know going in to this explanation that I don't care for books that have a romantic element between a human and an AI. I'm not very good at articulating why. There is just something about it that kind of icks me out, and I don't care for it. And at the beginning of this book, Hayden, our main character, and Horatio, who is the AI entity that manages the security for the lab, do this neuromapping thing that I'm 90% sure I didn't fully understand, but that's fine. And so Horatio is still present in the building, but has been downloaded into Hayden's brain. So Horatio, for almost the entire book, exists inside of Hayden. And then there's like a romance thing between the two of them, which I was kind of okay with. And then there's a scene a little over halfway through that, I don't know, was kind of unnecessary. And so the only reason this book is pegged as LGBTQ is because of the romance between Hayden and Horatio, if you could even call it a romance. The love story, the romantic interest, I don't know. And I just don't know how I feel about that. Very complicated. It's very messy. there's probably no answers, you know, because it's all going to come down to like opinion and personal preference as like a reader. But I just don't know. What are the ethics of falling in love with somebody who only exists inside your head? I just don't know. But I liked the themes of grief and insanity, and like, there is obviously suicidal ideation, but I really liked how Lou took that on and tackled it. And there were a lot of things I really liked. It was just that element that really threw me for a loop. I also feel like the villain was not as fully fleshed out as other characters were, and sometimes, especially towards the end, he felt very like a mustache twirling kind of villain. I think I'm waffling between a 4 and a 4.25, which, you know, is a negligible amount. I'm probably gonna lean more towards a 4.25 because I was absolutely obsessed with this book when I was reading it. And like I mentioned earlier, I, you know, would kind of black out, especially early on, and read way more than I had intended to when I sat down. And I generally had a really great time with this book, and I think it's a really solid Hamlet retelling. Now, if we're talking about just as a retelling in general, does Lou do anything?
I'm here to get a book.
Okay. Just totally lost my train of thought. What was I even talking about? Oh, retellings. Okay. As far as retellings go, so this is a pretty straightforward retelling. I think the setting definitely makes it unique, but as far as rhythm and beats and who the characters are and pure plot perspective, Lou stays pretty faithful to the source material, in my opinion. If you've read Hamlet or seen Hamlet or just familiar with Hamlet, if you've watched The Lion King, like, you're not going to be surprised by the events of the story. There's not really any twists that stray from the source material. But if you've never seen Hamlet before, I mean, hi, this could be a very surprising time. I don't know. But yeah, I think a 4.25 feels right. And I'm so glad I finally read it and I don't have to wonder about it anymore, because that was just about killing me to keep checking it out from the library and not reading it. I do wish it had been a 5-star because I love this cover so much and I would have loved to have an excuse to buy this book to add it to my collection, but alas, this is not how it went this time. Oh well, on to the next. Hello, my friends. I have to show you the thing I just got, which I'm a little, wait, let me take care of my keys so they're not jingling the whole time. Okay, hi. I did start a new book. I started The Wicked Bargain by Gabe Cole Novoa, and I'm only like 46 pages into it, so I don't have a ton of an update, but the audiobook is narrated by Vico Ortiz from Our Flag Means Death. So that's exciting, and they just are like nailing it. Love it so much so far. But more importantly, so we have an elderly cat and she is on thyroid medication. When it gets time to switch her over to a new bottle, I've noticed that it tends to upset her tummy a little bit. And so last night was an upset tummy night. So I was up a lot, but she ended up having an accident in the twins' room and did it right on top of my oldest's brand new sketchbook, and my oldest was heartbroken. So I went to the art store today to surprise her with a brand new one because she was just so sad that her sketchbook is now like tainted. But what I ended up getting is, I don't know if you've seen them on, like, I see ads for this on like Instagram and Etsy, but they're like these little bookshelf, I don't even know what they're called. Does it say what it is? I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. I'm just going to show you. So I've been wanting to get one for a while, but I've been super intimidated because building them looks super intricate and it's got really like fussy small details. But next week is spring break. Theoretically, I'm going to have more time to do things because I don't have to work all week and my husband's home for half the week too. And so like, I was like, it might be good to have a hand activity. What is that? Anyways, this is what I got. So I bought the Alice in Wonderland one because I liked it, but you can see it has Alice like going down the tunnel and then there's like the real world and it just sits in, is there an example? But it goes in your bookshelf, like in between the books. And it has like electricity, like there's a light that turns on, which means I'm gonna have to wire electricity, which I'm a little nervous about. But anyways, I bought it and we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I just decided to finally do it because I've been like, I look at them every time I go into our art store. So spring break seemed like a good time. I could be all regret in like a week, but for right now, I'm nervous excited. I really need to learn to update this before I go take a shower. Anyways, hello friends. It is Friday morning. This is very exciting because it is my day off and it is my last day in the house by myself for a significant amount of time because spring break starts tomorrow. And like I mentioned in the last clip, I did start The Wicked Bargain, which is a YA fantasy pirate story. And I'm 106 pages into it and I'm liking it a lot. However, because it is 10 o'clock and I have 5 hours until I have to pick up my youngest, what if, hold that thought, I paused reading Wicked Bargain and tried to read Bloom today instead. Like, wouldn't that be a good time? I think that might be a good time because, okay, a couple reasons. One, it's a novella. I can read this in 5 hours. And I haven't read a book in one sitting in a very, very long time. So that could be cute. Also, this is sapphic horror and I haven't had this experience yet, but my trepidation whenever I go to pick up horror is that I can't read it at night because then I'll have a nightmare or I won't be able to sleep. That has never happened to me in my very short experience of reading horror, but you know, no, my brain doesn't care. But it's 10 a.m. I feel like that's the perfect time to start a horror book, right? I think that's gonna be the plan. I might look and see if I can find an audiobook because that will definitely help me go faster because this is 200 pages. Okay, it's a little on the long side for a novella. So maybe one sitting is a little optimistic, but that's okay. Well, we'll just do our best and it'll be fine. I'm gonna see if I can find reading sprints on YouTube because with Realmathon going on, there's a bajillion public reading sprints, which is great. So I think I'll do that and just fast forward through most of the talking or read through the talking. And yeah, that's gonna be my day. Oh, sounds so good. Okay.
Hello, my guys. Welcome to our
I don't feel good right now. I finished it. Library copy, so I couldn't highlight, but I tabbed the heck out of it. Look. Ugh, I feel sick to my stomach. I think I have to give it 5 stars. Ugh. But I don't like it. Oh, how do I recap this? Oh, this is so gross. Okay. This is about Ro, who is an assistant professor, and she's just recently broken up with her boyfriend and kind of gone no contact with her mom and moved to a new town where she has a new job, and goes to the farmer's market one day and meets this woman named Ash and is almost right away obsessed with her. And it reads so much like a lyrical contemporary romance, like the way Ro thinks about falling in love and the way she thinks about Ash, and just the writing for the majority of this book is beautiful. Like, I've read Delilah S. Dawson before, but she is such a adaptable writer. So like the stuff that I've read from her before is nothing like the writing in this. And I thought, like, the writing is just stunning. Ro, like, I related to Ro so hard in the way that she thinks about herself, in the way that she thinks about her body, in the way she just observes the world. And I think the brilliance in this is that it starts off so sweet, but then as the reader, you pick up on the hints that it is not going to be okay, and it goes unhinged in the last 50 pages. But I had to keep turning the pages. Like, the tension is so good, and like the sense of foreboding, like as you as the reader start to figure out what is going to happen. I had an inkling, not about where this was going all the way. I didn't foresee everything, but I had an inkling about one of the things fairly early on, and I am not happy that I was right, because but like masterfully constructed horror, absolutely flawless, and in a novella no less. Like, just so good, but also I'm not okay. So I'm gonna go process my feelings and then go pick E up from school. So yeah, I don't know what to tell you. That was the best thing I've ever read, and maybe the worst thing I've ever read. I'm not okay right now. So I owe you all an update for The Wicked Bargain. I'm about 50% of the way through. I'm on chapter 22. And all right, I'm not loving this the way I had hoped to. And I was wondering if part of that was because I paused to read Bloom, and Bloom was just so well crafted that this, by comparison, just can't quite hold up, which also isn't fair because they are two entirely different things, like different genres, different age categories. Sometimes that's just how it goes with reading, right? Sometimes you pick up a book that you think you're gonna love, and it only isn't what you thought because the book you read before it just was maybe not better, but just a better fit for you as a reader. This is about Mar, who is a pirate and has lived their entire life on a ship with their father. And Mar is non-binary and trans and has a family on their ship who is really accepting and supportive. And then there is a storm, and El Diablo shows up on their father's ship, and come to find out that Mar's father, when Mar was born, made a deal with El Diablo in order to ensure that Mar survived their birth and have his crew have prosperity. And it's been 16 years, and El Diablo is now calling that deal into account. Is that the right word? He's coming to collect. Put it that way. And so that launches Mar on this other adventure to, okay, so it's in the synopsis. So Mar also has magic, and magic has to be kept secret in this world because it's not trusted, and if you have magic, then it's just assumed that you are a demon and that you are evil. And so Mar's had to keep their magic hidden their entire life. And El Diablo discovers in that first chapter that Mar has magic, and so he offers Mar two choices. Mar can either swap places with their father, or I guess it's just one choice. They can either swap places, or their father will just die or be imprisoned by El Diablo. Anyways, and then gives Mar 2 months to make their decision. So that really hasn't been, like, that's what the synopsis says the plot is, but that really hasn't been what the plot is. The plot has been Mar, after El Diablo sinks their father's ship, ends up on this other pirate ship and meets this other crew and this boy who's on the crew, and begins to form another family with this pirate crew. And it's been more about that than it has, and about community, than it has been about Mar deciding what they're going to do. Like, it comes up every once in a while, but it's really not the focus. And sometimes I feel like Mar forgets that they need to go rescue their father. So yeah, I think I have a little bit of a disconnect, because what the actions in this book aren't what is actually in the synopsis. Did I say that in the right order? The things that are happening in this book don't match what was in the synopsis, and then therefore, so my expectations were a little off. Also, this is in present tense, which is arguably maybe my least favorite tense. I kind of struggle with it. And then the other problem I'm running into is that I'm 182 pages in, and it feels like a much longer book. Like, it's not even 400 pages, but I feel like I've been reading it so much longer and have so little progress for a YA fantasy novel. Like, I feel like I should be further along. And I don't know if that's just because this was Gabe Novo's debut, I believe. And so it's just like debut book, like wrinkles, and their more recent work, like their Pride and Prejudice retelling, which I really want to read, it will be a little bit, it feels laborious to read, and it shouldn't, because it's YA fantasy. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at. Going back and forth on if I'm going to keep reading, if I'm going to DNF, because right now I think at the most I will give this a 3.5 stars, which is not what I wanted for this book and not what I anticipated. So that's your reading update. Sorry it's messy. I'm having some messy feelings because, I don't know, I thought I was going to love this, and I do. I think the representation is so good and so honest, and even like the section I'm in right now is a pretty adventurous scene. Like, they're escaping from someplace, Mar and Bass, who is the boy that is about Mar's age, and like that should have a lot of tension. It should be really propulsive to read, and I'm just kind of like, meh, it'll be fine, they'll be fine. So not ideal, but that's your update. I'm gonna go and see if I can get my head in the game. I also think the audiobook might be throwing me off, because as much as I love Vico Ortiz's voice quality, and I love them in Our Flag Means Death, I feel like their vocal quality is very mellow. So even in the more tense scenes, I don't get that in Ortiz's voice, even with like with it on 2x speed, which is what it is right now. So I am going to try and read it physically today and see if that helps my disconnect. Okay, bye. I finished The Wicked Bargain, and I think I'm going to stay pretty steady with my 3.5 star rating. I really liked Mar. I thought Mar was pretty well fleshed out. There were some inconsistencies with like the way they thought about what happens to their father at the beginning of the book, where that didn't feel consistent or like true to how a teen reacting to that experience would go. I found Bass, the other boy that Mar befriends, to be kind of one-dimensional sometimes, and like Navoa would have Bass do stuff that didn't really make sense, but then not like explain it later, just kind of wave it off as, oh, that's Bass. and I wish there had been a little bit more depth to Bass's character. And I felt like the ending was a little convenient, unfortunately. Like the big battle, I felt like that resolved very conveniently and easily. And like I said, it just for a book that's not even 400 pages, it felt like it took me a really long time to read. So those are the complaints. Now the positives, because I am giving it 3.5, is that I really liked the world. You know, it's semi-historical, but there is obviously like the magic component, and these are pretty like idealized pirates. You know, they're very ethical, kind of like Robin Hood pirates. And so, you know, that's obviously not historically accurate, but that's okay. I'm happy to read these like idealized pirates. Yeah, I'm not gonna complain about that. And I loved how much Spanish was in the book, and like listening to the audiobook. I did stop listening to the audiobook because as much as I love Vico Ortiz, like as I said, their voice is so mellow that even in the high stakes moments, I didn't feel that in their voice. But like they read the Spanish so flawlessly, obviously, because of course. But yeah, I'm gonna sit solidly at that 3.5. And I think the sequel for this just came out, which is about Dami, who I didn't really talk about, but is another character in this book. And I might read that. We'll see. I think I'm gonna read Gabe Cole-Navoa. He has a Pride and Prejudice retelling that just came out where the Lizzie character is a trans man. And I've heard really good things about that one. So I'm interested to read that one. And then if I like that one more than The Wicked Bargain, I'll pick up, I can't remember what it's called. It's something about El Diablo's Curse. Those are my thoughts. I did already start The Spirit Bares Its Teeth by Andrew Joseph White, which is historical YA horror. And I am really liking it so far. I'm only like three chapters in. So I will update as I go. I'm kind of nervous for that one, though. I'm worried it's going to be too scary. Or too, not scary, but too, I guess, upsetting. So we shall see. But for now, I'm getting cold, so I'm going to go back in the house. You remember at the beginning of this video when I was saying that I was pretty sure there was a book that I was forgetting, but I couldn't remember what it was? Well, my bookstore messaged me to let me know that the book I ordered is here, and it's the book that I forgot about. So I just parked. We're gonna go pick it up. It's raining, of course, when I have to get out of my car, but I didn't park too far away, so I think I'll only get a little bit wet. Yeah, let's go get the book. And I think I'm gonna read this one instead of The Spirit Bares Its Teeth. I'll save that for another time. I just don't think I'm in the mood for another really heavy horror novel right now. And I think this one will be more of a spooky good time than a traumatic spooky traumatic time. Anyways, let's go get the book. So the book is Heart, Haunt, Havoc, and this is about Colin, who's a transgender exorcist and goes to a haunted house in Gideon, Colorado, and he's kept awake by ghosts, ghouls, demons, and the handsome non-binary homeowner, Bishop Martinez. Okay, so this could be fun. Yeah, so I think this is more of a mystery, some gothic stuff, a little bit of horror, and a romance. It's also super short, which I feel pretty good about. I didn't realize it was a novella. Yeah, it's not even 150 pages. So I think this will be good. So this will be our last book of this vlog, and I'm really excited to read this because I love this title, even though it's really hard to say, and I have been obsessed with this cover. I just love the imagery on it. Let's go home and read maybe all of this today. I don't know. We are watching the extended Fellowship of the Rings today, so we watched part 1 already. We're taking a break and we're gonna start part 2 later, but I should have time to squeeze in some reading before then, and honestly probably during the movie because I don't find the second half of Fellowship as fun as the first half. But anyways, okay, let's go. I'm gonna be honest, I recorded this clip already and then accidentally deleted it. And so I'm feeling a little bit salty about having to re-record it, but here we are. I finished Heart Haunt Havoc. Look, this title is ridiculous, but I love it so much. And this was the fun time I was anticipating, which is great. I'm giving it 4.5 stars. I had a great time. This is a really quick read. It's definitely, I would say, a romance first and then gothic horror second. And it's pretty much what I told you in the beginning. Colin arrives at this house to clear out the ghost. He's been hired by Bishop to clear it, but Bishop has like a lot of secrets, and so in the process of getting all the ghosts and ghouls out of the house, Colin and Bishop get to know each other and end up falling in love, and it was really great. And I loved this town of Gideon, Colorado. We met the character for the next book because this is, I believe, a trilogy. And I believe in standard romance format, each novella follows a different couple. So I'm pretty sure I know who at least one of the people is going to be in the next book, but I really like this. I don't really have any complaints. There's a little bit of insta-love because it's a 150-page novella. Like, there has to be, and the characters have never met before the book starts, so it's like there has to be insta-love. I don't see any way around it, but I thought for Aegis Moon, they handled it as well as you can, and it actually didn't bother me because of the nature of the story. So yeah, it was great. I really liked it. And I'm so happy I finally read it. I'm definitely going to be continuing on in the series. I believe, what is book 2 called? Book 2 is called Wolf, Willow, Witch. These titles are so hard. But I'm utterly delighted with having a new series to check out. So that brings us to the end of this video. Normally I would rate these in terms of enjoyment, but that's a little complicated because of how I feel about Bloom. So I think instead I'm gonna rate them in order of impact. I think, yeah. Wicked Bargain is sadly at the bottom because I do think I am going to forget what this book is about fairly quickly. And I don't know that I'll really remember it in a year. Next, I'm gonna put The Death I Gave Him, because even though I didn't love some of the things that happened, I think it'll stick with me longer. I've already had a conversation with a friend about this book, and I'm enjoying bouncing this one off of my friends to see what they think just based off of what I tell them about the book. And then Heart Haunt Havoc obviously goes next. And then Bloom, I will be thinking about this book so much. I think this might end up on my favorites of the year. Not necessarily because of enjoyment. Those first 100 pages I enjoyed so much until it turned. Yeah, I am so glad I did this project and finally got to some of these books that honestly were 5-star predictions. That's really what this video is reading my 5-star predictions. And I hopefully will learn my lesson from this and not put off any 2024 releases that I am anticipating or excited or become excited about, like, as I find out about them, because none of these were like highly anticipated releases. I didn't know about the existence of these books until after they had already published, and I was able to see other readers engage with these works and talk about them. But I love that. I love picking up books based on what people I follow have read. And I think I have to do a little bit more research, but now I have 2 books that I've read because of Riley Marie that I have given 5 stars. So I don't know, I might have a booktube twin, which would be exciting. I'll have to do more research. I'm gonna have to read a few more of her like favorite books to see if that is 100% accurate, but that would be very exciting. So yeah, with that, we're gonna wrap up the video. I would love to hear if you've read any of these books, any thoughts you have about them, which books, if you had any books that you were really excited about last year but you kept putting off because you were scared, go ahead and tell me about them. I'd love to hear it. And if you want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, let's do some sort of pink emoji since 2 of these books have pink on the cover. And I will talk to y'all in the next one. Bye!